Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans, welcome to Talking in Ovals. I'm Alex Cuesta. I bet you guys didn't expect to hear us this soon, but we're back. We're getting something special going for this week because we have a special guest jumping on with us. Before we jump into that, Dave Hyatt, my partner in crime, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. 40th episode. Can't believe we've made it this far, and I hope that we keep going forever.
We're not going to stop because you know what? There's plenty of runners that need to be talked about that nobody wants to talk about, but we are here to do it. We're here to share their stories and we're going to have a good time. So before we get into all the fun stuff, today is Thursday, May 18th of 2023 that we are recording. Please give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5-star, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Look us up on the socials at Talking in Ovals. So our show that we did earlier this week for any of our astute listeners, we talked to Danielle Barnes, formerly Danielle Toro, just an absolute monster for New Jersey running. Michigan, great over there when she ran, and now coaching over in Michigan at West Ottawa. Just an amazing show talking about her journey from not wanting to run at all, basically what we've heard a lot of people, and just coming along and had a great tale and great insight there. So definitely go back and give that a listen. But this week, later this week, we have a great show for you. We have, someone that I think, Dave, I don't think we thought that we were going to be able to get, someone of this caliber that right now, at this very moment in time, is right there with their nose in it. 100%, definitely a threat to an American championship, definitely a threat to be an Olympic gold medalist in the next Olympic Games. And we are pumped to have him on. He is Clayton Murphy, 2016 800-meter Olympic bronze medalist, and an Akron Zip. Great out of there. What's going on, Clayton?
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here for sure.
We're absolutely pumped. And, like I said, it's, this kind of got, thrown together. Thanks to Robbie. We appreciate you, Robbie. And, just happy that you could take some time because I know how absolutely you busy are, constantly training, because, that's what you eat, sleep, breathe, and do. So I want to start right away with our first segment that we like to ask everybody. When did you find the spark? When did you sit there and, everyone has a different tale to tell with when they kind of fell in love with running, when they sat there and thought like, this is what I could do for the rest of my life. When was that moment for you that was like, okay, I think I could do this running thing forever?
Yeah. So for me, it was a progression almost like every year through the Olympics. So ran some low key track meets, Hershey track and field, field days, stuff like that. And I knew I was an athletic kid, but obviously every other sport draws attention more than track and field for me, especially in a school that's basketball driven. I played select soccer, travel soccer every single weekend growing up. Every single, elementary wannabe was Division I soccer player, Division I basketball player, nothing to do with track and field. Obviously you get into junior high athletics and there's no soccer leagues for the school. So run cross country in the fall because one of the buddies is like, yo, it's fun. My older brother did it. We'll do it. It's fun.
That's all it takes.
Every year from there, it just kind of grew. 7th grade year, you get a feel for it. I learned I'm pretty good at it. 8th grade, it's like, all right, compete for conference titles as an 8th grader, at a junior high level. Freshman year, then you're like, oh, okay, I got to run 5Ks in cross country. You move up to the high school level on this track. And again, same kind of process. Oh, let's qualify, see if I can qualify for the regional meet, and then sophomore year, junior year, senior year becomes, a little bit more. And junior year is when I realized, oh, you can go to college for this and earn, scholarships for track and field and how that whole process worked. Luckily, I had a few, even in a small school like that, had a few guys who had went Division I and Division II in Ohio for track and field. So I kind of had a little bit of the recruiting process through my coach, but nothing on the level of these kids have access to now. Now it's all almost completely free, everything's out there. Whereas I was paying for things, trying to get my name out there, any single letter that came to my door, I was replying to. I remember
what is a letter? These kids don't even know what letters are anymore.
Questionnaires on the website.
Oh my God. Everything is online. It's crazy.
But I had no idea. So I had no idea what my ceiling was. I had no idea, how it worked. I had no idea how I'd earn a scholarship. I had no idea what level of scholarship I could earn. I remember I was so close to committing to like North Central in outside of Chicago Division II powerhouse, like almost off the rip, because that was the first school who like showed legitimate interest in me.
So
I was ready to pay like.
what was your recruitment like? What was your kind of, where were you as a high school runner, and what was your recruitment like? Because, I feel like there are a lot of coaches that are looking at you now like, well, shit, maybe we should have looked better.
Yeah. So like I was obviously one of the small schools, almost one of the small schools in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I was recruited off of 416, 1600, like 156, 157. I'd run 940 in the 3200 in my sophomore year. Didn't run it crazy. I never broke 10 minutes after that, but I won every conference title after that. I just ran every slow race possible to win.
Sit and kick,
which is great. Not complaining about it. But pretty much if you want to look at it, so like I wanted to go Division I. Both my parents weren't neither of my parents were athletes, but my dad went to Ohio State. My mom went to Purdue. I wanted the Division I atmosphere. Whether or not I was running or not, I wanted to go somewhere with a football team, with a basketball team. I'm a sports guy. I wanted to experience life as a Division I student more than anything. So, I took visits to, visits lined up to like Kentucky, Georgia Tech, random schools all over the country, but everybody took visits to Memphis. But I was pretty much like, I'd say like 5 to 20% on out-of-state tuition is what I was getting offered.
Wow.
So, 30, 40 grand, and I'm getting, pretty much a couple grand in books thrown at me. They'd scavenge for academic scholarship. I wasn't a 3.5 kid. I wasn't the smartest kid. I didn't have the greatest ACT scores, but I had enough to get some academic money thrown at me. My recruiting story of Akron is actually kind of funny. My dad ran into somebody locally who was the old baseball coach at Akron, mentioned that Akron's program was on the come up in the track and field world. And my dad sent a random email to Coach Mitchell, who was the head director of track and field there. He forwarded to Coach LeBady. Coach LeBady called me out of the blue, said, "Love to have you on campus." And from there, it became an unofficial visit to an official visit right after cross country, and committed on my official visit. I think I came in on, like 45% in-state tuition, which obviously is a huge help.
Absolutely.
And between academics and local scholarships, I had almost all my school paid for my freshman year, which was extremely blessing.
Yeah.
But from the start, I clicked with Coach, and clicked with the guys on the team, and clicked with the campus, and clicked with everything there. And it was a pretty easy decision. I went into school wanting to become a mechanical engineer, so that obviously was a big factor into where I wanted to go to school. A lot of schools got crossed off my list if they didn't have a good mechanical engineering program, because I had no idea really about the professional scene at the time. My junior year of high school, I was barely watching professional track and field. I was barely watching the Olympic Games. So for me, it was, what do I do after 4 years? I got to be an engineer. I got to have the best degree possible. I got to have the best job possible. Didn't make it as a mechanical engineer past the first half of the semester. I realized there's no way I can
do both.
Be on gone 4 days a week for the like 6 weeks, 7 weeks out of the spring semester, and still be a mechanical engineer and graduate, with the way I wanted to graduate. So fell into finance, which didn't pick anything much easier, just picked it where I could actually miss class a little bit more and didn't have to be in labs and stuff.
I think you made the proper choice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then so, yeah, but even in college, it was the same thing. I showed up my freshman year. I'm again, as qualified, let's make the conference team, let's make first rounds, win conference titles. Then it becomes, all right, let's make the national meet. Let's compete on the national stage. 2015 in 2015 and sophomore year. And that became obviously very quickly into, NACX, Pan Am's, fell into a world championship spot. And then 2016, I'm almost running blind at that point, like no idea what my limits are. And just, every race I'm in, I just have that, like, I can be the best possible I can be, and go on that tear in 2016 and the 2017 spring. And it really was a progression all the way from 2009 through 2016. Almost every year was just build and build and build and build.
So was that kind of ignorance is bliss in 2016, 2017? Like you knew you were good, like you knew you were a good runner, and then now you're toeing the line with some of the best on the planet, and it's kind of like, I'm just going to do it. What do I have to lose type of deal?
I remember I actually had this conversation like 2 days ago on the long run with a couple guys about the first rounds in Rio when I had David Rudisha in the first heat.
Great. And, he was pretty good.
My agent and his agent are close. And so I remember it was a couple of days before the race, and crossed paths with him for the first time. Knew he was going to be in my heat. We had a short conversation, and after the conversation, my agent comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I want you to know he refers to you as the smart American." And I remember that, like, I'll never forget that, because I was like, wow, David Rudisha knows who I am and knows, like, I'm a smart
awesome
guy, like, wow. Like, and I remember, like, every race was like, I remember the semifinals, I had a conversation with my coach on the balcony, and it was like, if I can follow David Rudisha in the semifinal, I can get into the final. Because obviously that's like, that was the ultimate goal in Rio, was like, make the final, give myself a shot at a medal, let alone, medal was never on the table. It was always a shot at a medal, shot at a medal, shot at a medal. Right. And I said, if I can follow the best in the world and give it my best, at this point, like, who's stopping me this year? And so, things like that, I don't know if it was necessarily blindness, but it was for sure an eager young kid with zero ability to say no to him.
I love it. So I want to go back and ask you about Coach Beatty, because not many coaches at that level, like a small D1, have a coach who's, run sub 4. So what was it like to have that trust in him, knowing that he as a coach has already done a lot of the things that you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, the first time Coach Beatty said I'd break 4 minutes, I laughed right in his face. First time he told me I'd break 149, I laughed in his face. So Coach Beatty is, he's as close to family as not family as I probably have in my life. I have some friends that I call nieces and nephews. They're pretty damn close. There's about 6 people, and I include them in that outside family.
That's awesome. Well, we're officially in now.
There, you're in.
So you're on the show. We're in.
Yeah, podcast. We're in.
That's what it takes nowadays.
But yeah, Coach Beatty is an incredible guy. He's a guy who, in I would say most coaches are, but you're an athlete with a coach. They're your ride or die. They're there for you no matter what. They're in your corner no matter what. But Coach Beatty and I clicked from day one. We still click to this day. Now I just get more of them because I'm the only athlete on the track with him and the only athlete he's coaching. So I get 110% of Coach Beatty, and any former Coach Beatty athlete would tell you that probably like 30% of coach is enough, and I get 110 or more of them. So I have my days where I just gotta, smile it off and work out and deal with it. But love the man to death and his antics and his creativity of workouts. We always joked he had a dartboard in his office, and that's what he threw. And that's what the workout you did. And whatever the workout was before the warm up, you just knew it would change 10 different times during the warm up into the workout.
Obviously,
during the workout.
They obviously
and I think for me, that's one thing that
right. It works.
We had a conversation,
and that's.
I had a conversation with a middle distance athlete. I was just in Botswana and Doha, and had another conversation with a middle distance athlete. And we were looking at a sprinter who was doing the same Botswana Doha trip as us. So we were gone for 12 days, and so we were on the same trip. And we happened to be at the track a lot of the times together. And the athlete did a workout when she arrived. I should say she doesn't matter. She did a workout when she arrived. She did a pre-race workout. She did the race. The day after the race, she was in the gym. The day after that, she was working out. She got into Doha on the day we flew. That night, she went to the gym. We got in after about a 12-hour travel day, went to the gym that night. And the next day, she's on the track at Doha working out. And her coach was 100% like stop watching, holding everything, like there, like running everything, manipulating every single second of the workout. And he and I looked at each other and we're like, no way we could do that. No way we could make it as long as we did with a coach who we called it hover. But every athlete's different. But like me personally, like I want a coach who, is adjusting every single workout, who listens to every single thing I say. I'm a very vocal person. I trust everything Beatty put out. If Beatty put in a calendar for me, I'd do every single thing on there. But I like to have a little bit of feedback with it, just especially now in my career, and I know my body so well. And that's the day we did a workout.
One thing for young listeners to listen up to, and my coaches told me this, Coach Beatty sounds like this type of coach too. Listen to your body at times. Mm-hmm. If you're sitting there and coach is going like, hey, we have our 200s today, and your legs are shot, and there's a difference between pushing through some pain and knowing that this is my limit and I'm about to be burnt out. And you find it out very quick as a track athlete what your limit is. And I know there's a need to want to just go, but communicate. And, Clayton, like you said, he communicates. He's running at the highest level in the world right now, and he has a great coach. And they still have that communication factor. So to young runners that are listening, make sure you're listening to your body and communicating with your coach. Sorry, Clayton, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. There's a balance between, I think it ultimately comes down to the balance between trusting your coach, listening to your coach as a coach, and also then obviously giving back your feedback and your input and your how you're feeling. I mean, we did a workout where we did 200, 200 with short rest. We did 300, 300, 300 with moderately short rest. And then we were supposed to do another 200, 200 that was faster than the original 200, 200. And I finished the last 300. I looked at coach and I jogged my rest and I looked at him and I said, that's it. I said, we just ran hills the other day. My hamstrings are tight. I've had such a good session here. I just came back from, 12 days away from home, 8-hour time difference. Like, I'm just getting adjusted. I said, let's take the win. Come back today, which is Tuesday, and do an amazing session to get ready for LA. And he looked at me and said, put your flats on, jog, you're good. There wasn't a what's tight, what's wrong. It was just a full trust. Now, obviously, as soon as I'm done cooling down, it's, I get interrogated down to the core of like what I'm doing. Did I do this? Did I do this? What's wrong with this? Am I going to do this when I get home? You need to do this for the next 3 days. And in coaches, he'll give you 1,000 things to do. And as long as you do 80% of them, you're doing way more than any other athlete.
But at least he trusts you, though.
Exactly.
He has trust in you as you do in him. I watched your driven series on Flow Sports, and you could definitely see that you and him just worked really, really well together. It was really good to see, and it was just, I just love seeing an athlete and a coach have that bond and that trust, because I feel like there's so many athletes who are afraid to speak up, or and that's why some people change coaches all the time. But it's just great seeing that you and him have had this bond and this positive relationship for such a long time, and it's brewed so much success.
Well, I mean, full transparency. I mean, to pull back a curtain a little bit more on things, like obviously when I switched to the Oregon Project and worked under Coach Salazar in Alberto, there was a little bit of a trust issue there at the beginning. I'm jumping into a brand new coach, a brand new organization, moving across the country. Everything's completely new to me. And it's not like I'm coming from something where I didn't have success and I have to coming to somebody who has success and you're like, well, I'll just fully trust them because I didn't have success before. I had almost the pinnacle of success and the ultimate success I could potentially even reach. And so there was for sure moments in the first, 6 months of that relationship that you could tell there wasn't full trust. I lost some races I shouldn't have lost. I lost some opportunities at world medals because of it. And I remember I looked at him after I lost that opportunity in indoor meet and I said, this is it. I said, well, what you put down, I'm going to do. I'm still going to give you my feedback on how I feel. But I mean, if you come back to me and tell me, hey, today's the day we work through that, then I'm going to trust you 110%. We're going to go in on it. And it worked from then on out because we had that relationship where I trusted him to a T. He started to learn who I was as an athlete, what I needed, what my tells were. I think that's what Beatty knows so well. He knows my tells. He knows when I'm just tired and I still need to keep going, and when I'm truly this is it. And that comes with however many years and how many workouts and laps we've done on the track together. So it's like today we were doing 400s and last one I had to be fast on. And he's like, you want a 200 split? And I said, just give me keys at 200. You know exactly what I need to do or what you need to say to me for what I need to do the last 200. You don't need to tell me a time. Just from what you tell me, I'll be able to know what I need to do. And I didn't hear him because the wind was blowing, but I could tell by just the intonation in his voice of I knew I was on pace and I just had to keep going. But it was just it's that easy. I didn't even hear the words, but I could just tell by the way he was yelling at me, what I needed to do.
So,
now, do you have any,
go ahead, Dave,
any regrets that you left him for that short period of time, or was it something that you felt you had to do at that time in your career? Maybe, because, it was such a big team and, and so is that something that you look back on that maybe you wish that you didn't do, or are you all good for everything?
No, I mean, I think, for me, I don't think a lot of people, when people make coaching changes or whatever it is, I think a lot of people ignore the fact that track and field athletes are athletes who, yes, we make a living what we're doing. Most of us, a select of us make enough to do just running. But track's a 24/7 job. It's not like a basketball gig where you go to practice for 3 hours, you come home and you do some recovery, but you click off your mind, you do whatever you want to do. You show
up all year round. You get to train all year round.
It's your life.
It's what
your life outside of it is a huge effect on what you do on the track. And for me in my life, I needed the change. I wanted the change. Part of the reason I signed with Nike is I wanted to join the Oregon Project. I wanted to run into Alberto. I wanted to run with guys like Galen and obviously Yomif and Safan when they joined. And I wanted to be a part of that. That's one of the major reasons why I signed with Nike.
Well,
and so for me, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
At the time, too, the Oregon Project was the pinnacle of the United States running. So, like, it's middle distance. So, you were there. Now, do you have any relationship with Alberto at this point at all? You don't have to say if you do or not, but is there anything there, or is it just completely cut off since what happened to him?
So it's been cut off. It's just been cut off. There was, I don't know, since the safe sport ruling, I don't know what the technical ability to communicate with him. When the USADA ruling came down, I could communicate with him technically for non-track related things. I think we had one conversation when I moved back to Ohio. I think I had wished him a Merry Christmas. I think that's the only conversation I've had with him. And I just hoped him well. Because, it goes back to the Beatty ride or die. Alberto was a dude who treated me like family immediately as soon as I got to Oregon. I think I was at his house for 4th of July celebrations with his entire family, with like 40 some Salazars. And he invited him, at the time, my fiance and I over and welcomed us to his family without even knowing us for like 3 months, And he was, again, treated us like family. So, for me, there was a lot more to it than just, the track and field side of it. So I don't have any communication with him. I know my wife and his wife had contact about just, hoping everybody's well. Like when my son was born, she reached out and wished us well. And, but beyond the once a year, wish you well, hope you're okay thing. Yeah.
So was it an easy choice going back to Beatty? Was that just the obvious choice after everything happened?
I think it was the obvious choice, was the easy choice. I don't know if necessarily the easy choice. I think it was the obvious choice. I think there was a lot of opportunities and a lot of pull for me to go other places, stay in Oregon. There's obviously multiple other Nike groups that were being pushed on me was the wrong word. I was being asked to, potentially join. But ultimately, I think, it was the obvious choice to come back to coach. Obviously, just the logistics of, just getting married, just almost buying a house in Portland. I was literally like single digit months away from closing on the house, and we were renting it to own it, and we were ready to settle. We were ready to be there. And to uproot my wife, who's born in Long Beach, went to school at Oregon, lived in Portland, to move to Northeast Ohio was not the, most easiest convincing move. But
I hear that.
we're happy now. We just closed on a house in the fall. We had our little boy in
Congratulations.
Fall. She owns a business here. Thanks. She owns a business here. We're here for well beyond running now, which is funny.
So what's it like, almost being bigger than LeBron James in Ohio now?
Oh, I'm not even close. Not even close.
Akron. Akron, baby.
It is.
You're just a kid from Akron too now.
Yeah. Being back in Ohio is cool because here all the tracks are open. So I work out at so many different high school tracks. I rotate it because I get bored with working out at one. Plus, it's fun to just work out and post it on Instagram or whatever it is and see so many different people be like, oh my God, you're at my alma mater. Oh my God. I ran on that track 30 years ago. Oh my God. I just did a workout there yesterday. Oh my God. Like, why'd you not come to my practice at 3:00? And you should have stayed for next year. That is a year ago or something. A year ago, I did a workout at a high school, and the coach there I used to run with at Akron. He's the coach there now. And I was doing a workout, and I had one of the kids, I grabbed one of the kids randomly. I said, hey, who wants to pace me in this 400, whatever it was, just for fun. And the kid paces me, and he was so nervous, shaking, trying to hit the time on the right thing. And now the kid's I think a top 3 kid in the state in the 800 or something like that, in Division I or something. He's projected to potentially compete for a state title. And I'm like,
it's amazing.
That kid, he got good because he paced me in one workout.
There you go.
So here's the thing. I think you just brought up something really cool. It's kind of skipping to the end a little bit here, but that could be something that pros could do pretty easily and readily accessible. Like pick and choose moments where they go, where they know a high school team is, doing a workout, and just go do a workout there. Because how many more kids that would be exposed and then your casuals who are just working out could go see Clayton Murphy just ripping times that their sprinters can't even do in the short races. Wait, that's what it takes to be a pro. I feel like that could be Dave often talks about making people like pick up a weight and throw it and things like that to like understand. But I think at times just watching a true pro and Olympian go and just do a workout would have people's jaws dropped. I feel like
What high school kid wouldn't love that?
To do.
What high school kid
I have those experiences like pretty regularly, to be honest, because like I said, I work out at high schools, and I mean, I run into situations where just last year I did a workout where the high school team was practicing at the high school that's closest to my house, the one I work out at the most now. The high school team was practicing. I warmed up at the end of their practice and then started the workout after. And the distance kids during the summer will come and like hang out during the workout sometimes at the high school if I'm working out there, or like if they're overlapping practice, they'll hang out and watch and just be there during the workout. But we didn't realize that the flag football tournament had like rented the stadium, but track still had the track for like another 2 hours according to the schedule.
Yeah.
So there's a flag football tournament going on in the infield with, 6, 7, 8 games going on at the same time. The stands are relatively full, and I'm out here in the middle of July, just like ripping 400s, like exactly what you said. And I had so many people. At one point I had people clapping in the stands, like during the workout. It was like almost like a mini, like 6-race series for me within 30 minutes.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But I mean, that happens it happens regularly, ran into random people, working out, finishing workouts, like people. Yeah, all the tracks are public around here. So I'll be ripping stuff on the towpath and running past people, and I'll have random people on bikes that I'll like pass doing tempos that are biking relatively quick, and they'll come back up next to me and they'll be like, no way you hold this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like 4 miles into 6 miles at this pace. And no, I don't have any sort of like, I have no private sessions. Like my lifting session is in the middle of a PT clinic with everybody getting treatment around me. I mean, I don't have any sort of like professional private training.
So would you be willing to make these like events? Like, I'm going to this high school to do a workout, come watch me, like, and do like signings and stuff. Are you allowed to do that as a pro, or does it have to be something through your sponsorship? Because like part of the thing that we like to do here outside of just talking to, you guys, and I still want to get to more of your memories because we kind of got sidetracked.
Yeah, we're good.
One of the things that we try to do is figure out ways to grow this sport to the casuals. And I feel like that would be something incredible. Like, Clayton Murphy is going to be at this track at this time doing his workout. Come watch. And, and then if say, you have another pro that comes, because every once in a while you guys link up and do workouts together. It's like, they're both going to be here. And part of the issue is nobody knows who's going to be at meets. But if at minimum they can come and see, behind the curtain, how pros work out, like, I feel like that would get them more interest to be like, wait, who the fuck is this Clayton Murphy guy? He's always going to be here. It's going to be on Peacock shit. Ma, do we have Peacock? We got to get it. I want to watch. I can just watch it. Yeah, he's a pro. I got his autograph. Like those type of things, I think would maybe pull in more casuals in that sense, if they could just see how much of a monster you are on a regular basis.
You clicked a few topics there that I feel like I am ride or die on, or, whatever. But every single athlete, I shouldn't say this, I have confidence that the overwhelming majority of athletes could, without any sort of complication, do that. No questions asked.
It needs to be done. It needs to be done.
I think that there's athletes who are protected by their circle that won't allow them to do it for whatever reason. They don't want people to watch the workout. They don't want people to videotape the workout. They don't want to know what their athletes are doing. They don't want to know how fit their athlete is. They don't want people to know how fit their athlete is. They want to just have a private workout. I mean, and that's all, I'll call it, that's all BS. Professional athletes in other sports have private practices, but they're having private practices because they're running plays or they're running stuff that other teams can use.
You're just running.
If somebody wants to, okay, I'll use this. If I put every single workout online, every single thing I did, and I technically put a lot out there, a lot more than a lot of other middle distance athletes do. I think Joe Klecker, I think, is somebody who puts everything on Strava, every single thing on Strava. If somebody in America runs the 10K against Joe Klecker and wants to do every single thing Joe Klecker does, go for it. If somebody wants to do everything that I do, go for it. Because no one is Joe Klecker. No one is Clayton Murphy. No one is Robbie Andrews. No one is anybody in this sport. Every single person needs a different training philosophy.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe some of the workouts that I do, you can implement to help you get faster. But Yeah. Every single person could do exactly what you said.
In the end, awesome. If my workout helps you get faster, awesome, bring it on. Because obviously you're a confident dude. You know when you toe the line, you're going to go win. Like that's your mindset. I'm winning this race. And so I feel like that should be like everybody's mindset, right? Regardless of if you know what I'm doing, I'm going to kick your ass when I get to that line. So it really doesn't matter. And yeah, no, so I think we have another thing that we need to push, Dave. Every single, athlete we talk to, we're going to say, hey, go do meet and greets. And I don't care if it's like a retired athlete. You know what I mean?
It can't hurt for fan exposure and for getting these guys paid more money, which is
what. But I always use the example. Everybody asks how you grow the sport, how you grow the sport, how you grow the sport. And I always use the example of almost exactly what you said. So we can use that example. Somebody comes to the meet and greet at Nordonia High School to my workout on Saturday afternoon in August, or we'll call it May, during the season right now. So then they're going to see me run at the LA Grand Prix meet next week.
Yep.
And they're going to, talk about me. They're going to talk about my accolades more. They're going to hype up the fact the USA Championships is coming up the first weekend in July. So then that person says, all right, I'm going to watch the USA Championships. Let's invite, exactly what you said. Let's invite a group over for USA Champs and let's watch Clayton Murphy and, watch the rest of the meet, but let's watch Clayton Murphy. Well, during USA Champs, they're, 800 is only 2 minutes long. So they're going to find another event to watch and they're going to fall in love with Devin Aller on the hurdles, So now they're
Ryan Krause is 76 feet.
Ryan, yes. Whoever it is, they're going to fall in love with. And then now World Championships are on. So now they're exactly what you're saying. Let's have a barbecue. Let's have the community over. Let's have family over. Let's go this. And then that exactly happens and over and over and over. And yes, it's tough. It's not going to grow overnight. But I think the problem is that a lot of us are narrow-minded in the fact that people who love track and field talk about track and field. But everybody who loves track and field has already talked to everybody they know about track and field.
Absolutely.
Like everybody in your inner circles, you've already told about track and field, and you guys have a podcast and you guys talk to these amazing athletes and you guys are grinding to help the sport, and share stories and do all this. And everybody who knows me knows that I run professionally, but it's that like next circle. How do you get from that circle that you tell every single person about it? How do you get them to tell then every single person about it? And
it's all about peer pressure. Honestly, it's peer pressure. If you have one person sitting there and you're hoping that, every single group of friends has their alpha, right? Like period. Like we know that if you can get to the alpha that they're like, we're going to go watch this meet. Oh man, I don't want to watch track. No. I just saw Clayton Murphy run in person. You want to see him race. Like you want to get hungry to see that.
The current product, and the current sport and the current what it is will not do that. I mean, it's just, it's ultimately like, I think every time something happens, like an announcement came out hours before this recording about an athlete not showing up to a major meet coming up. And those are the exact instances that I realized like nothing changes year after year, meet after meet, instance after instance. This sport is just running in place for lack of, better terms.
And a lot of it does start with the athlete
treading
themselves, having, providing more exposure. Kind of like you said, like you're going to high schools. How cool is that? Like if a pro ever came to my high school, I'd be a fan for life. And then that would have grown me onto other athletes. I think that's tremendous. That might be one of the best things that we've heard on this podcast yet. That is so cool, and to give accountability to the athletes themselves, because everybody wants to blame everyone else who's higher up, but a lot of it can stem from the athletes too.
Yeah, it's so many different people's fault. There's not one person to point at. There's certain people that you could point more fingers at than others. But ultimately, I think there is a lot of people who are trying. There's a lot of people who are really, doing whatever they can. Example, you two right now. Like, I mean, there's a lot of guys who are doing everything they possibly can to, grow what we all love to do. But then there's certain people who have a lot more influence and power and ability who are
status quo
because they don't need it. I don't want to say care. Care is not the right word. They don't need to push the sport forward.
I'm going to lay it out there.
The sport has been pushed forward for you.
I'm going to lay it out there. You're being nice. We're talking about, the big shoe companies, honestly. And I think that's where we are. The shoe companies are very status quo because they're making a lot of money off of sponsoring races and things like that. And USATF really isn't pushing very far because they're kind of taken care of too. And it does because we talk a lot about shoe companies having, they have a lot of separate stuff, but we need more crossover. We need more, less protectionism from the shoe companies in terms of we're not going to make this work unless we have one league, essentially like a league, not like some people want we've talked about what Tracktown did. I'm thinking more of what the PGA does, what UFC does, where there's a body that puts on events, and I signed Clayton Murphy. You're, one top Americans in the 800 meter. I'm going to sign you to a contract. These are 8 meets that you need to hit. I'm going to pay you $200K to hit these 8 meets. You need to guaranteed to be there. I feel like that's something that we need to do, where we sign you for 8 races, the same way
I think that
UFC does that with fights and stuff like that.
You're extremely close. I do want to I kind of disagree on the shoe company side of it.
Okay.
The shoe companies in track and field, I think a lot of people think that, I think it's kind of a misunderstanding that these shoe companies make tons off of, us as publicity, but ultimately Nike running is built around the roads, for example.
Oh yeah.
How many people, there's more people. We actually talked about this. There's more people who run the Boston Marathon once a year, the one race, that probably run in all the track meets in the same month in the US. It's in how many alpha flies and vapor flies and 4% and next percents and streak flies, and every single plated shoe from all of the companies are on that starting line. Millions of dollars been spent on shoes literally to line up for that one race.
Yep.
And so I think shoe companies do everything they can. I think ultimately shoe companies should not be the backbone. Look at the PGA and look at the tennis. Shoe companies are not the backbone of what Tiger Woods is making. Tiger Woods is making millions of dollars to line up and play golf. Tiger Woods is not making millions to be a billboard. Yes, he's making good money being a billboard, but he's not making a living being a billboard. We have to make a living being a billboard because we're not making a legitimate living showing up to meets unless you are the top, not even 1%, top 0.2% of meets. You're not making a living off of prize money and appearance fees.
That's why
the ranking system is flawed in that sense.
Eric Sawinski talked about that on this show.
The governing body is the one controlling meets and putting on meets. And one event out of the year for the PGA tournament is run by the USGA, US Open. So the USA Championship should be run by USATF. We shouldn't have the USATF Grand Prix. It should be the Talking Ovals LA Grand Prix meet because you guys are the name sponsor.
One day we're going to do that.
That's how it should work. It should be the World Athletics Diamond League Tour. It should be, I know they have a title sponsor in Wanda, but it's a World Athletics meet. It ultimately is controlled by the World Athletics. What meets are Diamond League meets, what meets fall under Continental Gold, what meets fall under Continental Silver. Yep. So I think yes, shoe companies can do more. Yeah, there's no question about it. Like we said, goes back to the point, everybody can do more. Everybody can point fingers at everybody. But there's so many different things that have to change at once to make a huge change. Athletes' mindsets have to change about if you want to put a league on. Because, let's do this, for example. I'm going to call it out. Sydney McLaughlin is whatever, Lavone or whatever, is not running at LA anymore. Hasn't run since World Championships.
Yes, she just pulled out of LA too.
We talk about this all the time. She needs to run.
She just pulled out today.
Yeah.
And I called her out on Twitter. I called it out on Twitter. I'm tired of it. I know Sydney's a great person. I'm not calling her a character, but whether it's her coaching, whether it's her party, whether it's her circle, whatever it is, that's supporting and allowing athletes to do this is ridiculous. And I had somebody commented and said, "Wow, my tickets now. What am I going to do about my tickets for the meeting?" And so I said, "Send me your Venmo. I'm paying for your tickets. Come to the meet still." But that person is disappointed now. It's somebody goes, you see all those stories online about somebody flies to a game in the NBA and their person rests, and then that player then sends them to the next game because they feel bad about it. Sydney's not going to do that. Her party's not going to do that. New Balance isn't going to do that. Meet's not going to do that. There's no repercussions. And so there's so many different things that have to change. There's so many different people who have to step up, and people who are small fish in a big pond, can only do so much,
I think ultimately
so many
what
meet
you were
and greets,
talking about, yeah, but I think ultimately what you were talking about with the groundswell, if we can get more athletes like you, because, me and Dave were looking up, we're curious. You're the fourth fastest American 800-meter runner of all
Ever.
time, with the seventh fastest time of all time. Like, you're legit as it gets in terms of an American runner. And we need more people like you, what you're doing. And I think if we get enough people that are in your echelon doing these type of meet and greets, we had my buddy Adam Vess on a few weeks ago, and he works within the industry, and he's adamant that it needs to be a groundswell. If you get the groundswell to go, then someone with a deep pocket will look and say, I want to tap into that. And boom, this is when we'll get change. So we need the groundswell. And what you're doing, if we can get more pros, guys that are sitting there that are going to make the finals at USA's, consistently, there's a few guys that you expect to see. We expect to see you. We expect to see Bryce Hoppel. We expect to see a healthy Donovan Brazier. Like, there are certain people, if Robbie's healthy, like, that we expect to see at the line. And this is a good way to do it. Go do go do your workouts, let people know where you're going to be, do meet and greets, and say, hey, make sure you check out this meet I'm going to be at. Make sure you get, I'm going to be at USA's. I'm trying to make worlds. If I make worlds, root for me. Like, and I think if you touch enough people that way, it will get outside of the tracky circle. Because you'll get casuals that see it. You ran with a bunch of flag football or whatever going on. They're turning around going, Jesus Christmas, he's fast. Like, that's I think the best way. What you said might trump everything that we've talked about on this show in terms of how to grow the sport.
Yeah, I think it's for sure a huge start. I think it is. But
showing up for meets too is just
showing up for meets too. And
if you can said, know that like
the big money comes. Mm-hmm. The big money comes if there's a swell, but the people who are in control have to let the big money in. Meets have to get on TV on the right channels. That's and if you're not in line with a certain organization, a certain federation, you can't have a meet no matter who's in the meet on a certain channel at a certain time.
It's the TV structure.
There's so it's yeah.
And the presentation needs to be better. On the free side, the presentation needs to be better, because me and Dave have talked about it. You have to pay for Peacock to get on the world feed to actually watch the meet, because if not, it's all fluff. It's all fluff. You're getting interrupted by this story, and every once in a while, it's fine. You have a great story, you want to tell it, cool, but don't tell it during 20 minutes of the 10K and let me only watch the beginning and the end, because I want to see these guys clipping off 430 miles, and let's explain to people what they're really doing out there. Like, it's so terrible to watch it on TV.
So bad. It's to me, it's like, has people in our sport never watch other sports? That's what I always think, that when I watch our sport being produced and being broadcasted and being commentated, I'm like, have they never watched or listened to other broadcasters? Like, do you not watch the Masters? Do you not watch Formula One races? Do you not watch NBA playoffs? Do you not watch like other sports and the production and the stories?
NASCAR. Like, people will sit there for hours and watch NASCAR go around in circles for 3 hours.
I'm addicted to Formula One. I will watch Formula One practice for 2 hours. For practice.
Absolutely.
Practice.
For qualifying and practice. Hell yeah.
But they will talk about what every single 20 drivers had for breakfast. Why what the troubles were with getting, whatever team's equipment to the meet. You line up at the meet and literally I think I can count on one hand how many meets that I've lined up for and had somebody from the production, the meet, like media staff and or broadcast, asking me about the meet, asking me about how I felt. You know how easy it would be to send me a message on Instagram as a commentator and be like, hey Clayton, how's training been going this week? How was travel in? Are you excited? And
any all I gotta say you want to tell us, any trials and tribulations, this and that.
Yeah. Stepped off the track 3 days ago, have a bum ankle, been grinding to get here, but I'm super excited. I've had a great training block prior to that. You know how easy it would be hey, Clayton Murphy, like you said, 2-time Olympian, Olympic medalist, had some troubles with training this week, but we're interested to see how he goes this week.
He's one of the favorites coming into this race, but he might have an issue. Let's watch out for that.
Broadcast.
So much more intrigue too.
They literally cut and paste the exact same intros, cut and paste the exact same. I have the exact same kick that I've had, even though my kick has not been that great the last couple of years. I still have the exact same kick I had. Like it's awful.
They don't even show the meet in the order that it runs. Like it'll be dark for one event, then they'll go back and show something from the daytime. I'm like, what is going on? Like
the only trouble with our sport is it's ultimately tons of different sports. Like
Joe?
that's the ultimate trouble. Every sport within the sport's not going to be happy at the end of the day if you start changing it, because everybody's going to think that they're going to be, thought of less, when the ultimate truth is not every sport is equal within our sport. It's the hard truth of it. The 800 is not equal to 100. No. I don't think that I should be, when I line up in the same meet as a Noah Lyles in the 200 to 100, I should not be earning the same prize money as Noah Lyles. It should not be that way. People do not pay the same amount of revenue to come to watch me race in 800 or anybody in 800 as they did Noah Lyles in the 100. So why is Noah Lyles making the same money I am in prize money? Noah Lyles' event is the event. They should be making the money. It's
like the quarterback versus the receiver versus the tight end versus the left tackle in football. Like, you acknowledge that all the players are necessary in football, but they're not all making the same money. There's some positions of more importance in football that are going to make more money, and all the
but within the sport, accept that. Within the sport, they're treated equal.
That's true. Yes.
I mean, so an organization to be good treats every single position on the offensive line as important. Maybe not as important a quarterback in the sense of things, but they spend as much money. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm a Bengals fan. We need to spend way more on the offensive line, and they have been, because they realize, like, we got to have a good offensive line to protect the guy we're spending millions on. So you're spending millions on Noah Lyles to line up in 100 meters. You've got to have a supporting meet around him. You can't just have a 9-second race and that's the entire meet. You've got to have a supporting cast around him. You've got to have a great meet. You've got to have depth. You've got to have a production. But they can't treat. There's a reason why they don't do a story on the offensive guard for the New England Patriots. Right. They do a story on Tom Brady back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
yep.
But they know about the offensive guard. So when the offensive guard makes a play, or he goes down with an injury, or he randomly picks up a fumble and runs it in for a touchdown, they knew exactly what that dude went to high school, and they know that his grandmother passed away a week before the meet, and the game, and they can talk about it because now he's in the limelight. If the 6th place random seeded dude at USA's wins, they're going to be like, oh, he had a season best of 48 seconds in the 400.
We didn't see that coming.
Personal best. Yeah, that's it. So they're going to talk about who didn't win.
So here's a question for you, and this is kind of something that I brought up a few weeks ago. I think I brought it up a few times, but in terms of if we were going to do like a weekly type of meet thing or every other week type of meet thing, how would you feel if we did like 2 days of prelims that were kind of in the dark? Like if you had to pay for FlowTrack or whatever to watch the prelims, and then we had 3 successive days of finals. Like the field is on Friday, distance on Saturday, or distance or whatever. Field on Thursday, distance Friday. The limelight sprints are all on Saturday. Do you think that's something that people could tune into? Because, golf is 4 days. Like, and, certain sports do take this time, but you'll be able to sit there and tap into that, and people will know, okay, the LA Grand Prix is going on. Oh, I heard there was a really good thrower. That's on Thursday. And and it's all finals. So you're not worried about prelims or anything. Like, you're seeing the fastest races run here. And now everyone kind of gets a time to shine. Like, you'll have the 100 through 800 on that sprint day. Because let's be real, 800 is a really long sprint. But then you're now being able to run the 15, your steeple, and if 5 or 10, you probably should choose which one you want in that meet. Yeah. But it's like, it makes it less boring, because part of the issue with track is it could be really boring. It's boring.
Dude, so boring.
It's boring for people that enjoy it.
Prelim after prelim.
So obviously, World Champs was the first time I watched World Champs from home, or Olympic Games. Being in the sport now, I was so bored watching it. Not gonna lie,
it's tough.
Obviously, it's tough to watch it because I wanted to be there, I wanted to compete.
Yeah.
But I got over that fact after like the second day. I was refusing to watch it for like 48 hours, and then finally I sat down and watched it. And I watched the whole thing. I watched every single race after that, and I was so bored. My wife and I were like, we have to wait like 2 more hours for this thing to end. Like, I think I've talked about it. I think golf does a great job. I think golf does takes a boring. I love golf. Takes such a boring sport and creates a product out of it. Creates an exciting feature out of it. I think you're onto something for sure. I've mentioned it before. I think Diamond League should have prelims. I think highest level of meet should have prelims. I think the LA Grand Prix should have prelims. Run them on Thursday. Put a high level, high production 90-minute meet together on Sunday and blow through it. Maybe you have,
and your diehards will
on Saturday night.
We'll stream that prelim.
prelims Saturday, you have prelims Friday, and you have finals Saturday night and Sunday night under the lights.
Yeah, exactly.
But you put together 1 hour of high action, high octane. You got to figure out a way to run a meet logistically where there's not 20 minutes of athletes setting up blocks and running hurdles. I don't know how you do it. You run the 100 on one side of the track, you run the 110s on the other side of the track, and you go straight from one thing to the other, and you
just like in high school,
blow through it.
Finals. There should not be 20 minutes between events. No. There should not be 20 minutes.
You throws. I mean, I can't sit here and say I know, tons about the field events, but to me, like the way the Diamond League did the thing, they fumbled the bag for sure with the top 3 thing. I think they were onto something. But the way they did it was just wrong. Like if you're going to take the top 3 into this like elite final, give them like 2 or 3 jumps each and make it a 10-minute thing and let them go at it. Yep. Let them come back at each other. Let them, let the 3 of them jump, and then the farthest guy jumps last. And now they're going back at each other. Put the top 4 guys in a final on Sunday night in an hour window and let them have 15 minutes of the window and go at it. Like let them go at a jump. Have a storyline about it, or have the women and the men going at the same time to alternate. You can make these events exciting and put it into a short window. And you can still, like you said, you can still have the prelims on Thursday night where all 25 dudes are jumping, and you're grinding through a 2-hour long jump and like 2.5 hour pole vault.
And if nerds will watch it as a streaming thing, we'll pay to watch that because we're nerds.
Mm-hmm. It's like I pay for F1 TV to watch 2 hours of cars drive around the track and and that has zero implication on Sunday's final.
No,
doesn't even qualify. There's zero implication. That's not even qualifying. Like I'm watching us do pre-meet pretty much. I'd be watching. I always said they should broadcast pre-race. I always said they should create an event out of it. I've told numerous other media companies, how cool it would be for a meet. My always example is Millrose Games. How easy it'd be for Millrose to say, hey, as an elite athlete, you have 2 hours to get to the track to do pre-race. You know why? Because during those 2 hours, you 2 guys are going to be sitting on the infield doing a production. You're going to have cameras on the track. You're going to have athletes coming through and doing quick interviews. You're going to have somebody walking around with a mic. I'm going to be in the middle of my strides, and you're going to catch me at the end of the stride and be like, Clayton, what's your pre-race like? How you feeling? What'd you have before you got here? How'd you get to the armory today?
Yep.
You take the train? Did you take the Uber? Did you take the shuttle? Like, what are you doing for dinner tonight? Where are you
going to hit Are you going to hit the gyro stand outside? That's outside every single race for the armory, and we all have gotten the lamb gyros out there. Every single person that went there has gotten them.
You know how great that 2-hour production would be?
Oh my God! Everyone would tune in because the thing is too. Now you get to know Clayton Murphy, and you get to talk. You get to hear him talk, and like you're not just a post race going. Yeah, that race worked out really well. That's
yes.
I really thought I wasn't gonna. They made the move, and then
how'd the race go? What'd you think of the race?
Yeah.
So how'd you win? I just ran fast.
Thanks. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Who do you
ran faster than the other guy in the race.
Yeah. No. How'd you feel about it? I felt like crap. I'm interviewing with you, so obviously I did well, but it was yeah.
That's the thing too. That's kind of what we're trying to do here.
Pre-race interviews. I like that.
And these were great ideas, and we're trying to humanize you guys because I like to say to everyone, like, what do we know about Clayton Murphy? And we didn't get to a lot of your memories today, but what do we know about Clayton Murphy? What did I really know before I've talked to you? You're really fast. One of the fastest Americans ever, and I enjoy watching you race every time you step on the line. Now I know a ton more about you. I know that you have a lot more ideas, the things you want to do, the person you are. I had no idea that you were out at track meets, not at track meets, doing workouts on high school track. Where is Flow Track? Where is Mile Split? Where is Sidious Mag? Doing highlights on this and trying to get as many eyes and ears to you as possible. Why are they not there making a big live event going, we're going to watch at so-and-so high school, and sitting there going to the stand saying, look, just for a Clayton Murphy workout, there's 70 people here watching him. Why are we not doing that? Why is that not something that we're not doing? When NFL does freaking mini camp, they put it on.
So this is the thing,
love it.
Here's the thing. I don't think that's necessary if low-key meets, I call them low-key meets, if tune-up meets, if low-key meets actually created a product that did that. You wouldn't even need to do the workouts.
It's true.
The Sound Running meet in LA, just happened, distance meet just happened. If that reached out beyond the niche and created an event like you're talking about, like those athletes would need to work out because everybody would fall in love with Josette and Klecker and Nagoose winning the 800 and the on running group, because they would have a production right there in public. And then you obviously have to create an incentive for athletes to come to these low key meets versus workout, but if you start incentivizing athletes to actually compete and not just work out to be the best on 2 races out of the year, it changed a lot of people's priorities when it comes to the sport.
This is where giving you guys legitimate contracts, I think, would help. Even if it's not a ton, but it's like, even if it's like, I'm pretty sure if I told you, hey, Clayton, you'll get prize money if you win a certain number of races, but I need you at these 6 races, I'll pay you $150K to show up to these 6 races, be there, be fit.
It's almost a live golf model. It's almost like a live model.
Yeah.
Versus you need but the problem is, if you don't, you'd have to have a very, very harsh punishment for athletes who didn't do it.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's going to figure out a way to back out, i.e. today.
Yeah.
They're just going to back out. They're just going to continually back out and 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 back out. And then they're going to win a world title and they're going to be in the limelight. They're going to be the greatest thing to ever walk the face of the earth. And then they're going to back out and they're going to back out and they're going to back out. And then they're going to win a US title and then they're going to be the greatest thing. It's so easy to be back in the spotlight when you win 2 races out of the year and compete at 2 races out of the year.
But for the consistent athletes that do go, for the consistent athletes that are very good and continually go and get really pushed, now you're going to already see their faces. And then when they're also at Worlds, when they're also at USAs, they're going to be already a known name as well as those people that win. And there's also going to be guaranteed money there. So
there's a lot of athletes who started the race more. I mean, Noah and Fred and Andre DeGrasse and Marcel Jacobs are starting to race. Like, these guys are starting to kind of put their names out there and starting to put their foot on the line. And
look,
kind of
they're all enjoying themselves too. They're all
enjoying races like every weekend.
Yeah,
and I think these athletes are starting to realize, like, it's part of what we do.
We're athletes.
I think there's a select few. I put this in a tweet tonight. There's a select few that can propel our sport forward, and only a select few of that select few are actually propelling our sport forward. But it takes that whole group to propel it forward as a whole, because it's all these sports got to move at once right now to keep it going.
So I have a question for you. What changes? Obviously, Dave, you and I, we've all went from high school to college. So obviously, a lot of things change. And as you get better, certain goals change, right? Like in college, you're already slowly starting to pick and choose meets you're going to. But for the most part, you compete almost every weekend in college. What changes the pro? Like, why do pros start to take that step back? And where we were competing every weekend, at least every other weekend,
twice a week in high school. Why is it that all of a sudden we get to the pro level and it's like, whoa, got to be perfect every time? Like, when I think there's some of my best races at like 80%. Like,
yeah, there's a couple of things. I think one is like mother time or father time, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you just get to the point where you just can't race. I just can't race as much anymore either. Like, I push myself. I race as much as I possibly can because I don't do the sport to work out. I don't do the sport to practice. I hate 5 days out of the week when I have to do regular runs. Hate it. I would rather do hard workouts every single day. That's why I wish I was a sprinter. I wish I was a thrower, because I want to be in the gym. I want to be sprinting. I want to be hard workouts every day. I don't do this sport to like be fit and enjoy running. I do it because I want to be, the best I can possibly be. So I think there is age. I think that's something. I think that I think it's something that's ingrained in the professional sport. You just don't race as much. And then these young athletes come in and they're thrown into the circles of advisement that, you just can't do it. And then I think there is a side of it. So in college, you only have 4 years of athletes coming together. High school, you have 4 years of athletes coming together into one pool of athletes to be that. And every athlete is on a very similar, they're taking 30 credit hours in college. They're traveling to all these meets because they're required to under scholarship. They're running the same conference meet. They're grinding the same first round meet. They're grinding the same, every athlete's on a somewhat level playing field when it comes to that. Professional scene, I mean, I've been pro for 7 years now. I'm racing kids out of college. I'm 7 years into this pro scene over that young kid now. So you're not racing just the best of 4 years. You're racing the best of 7, 8, 9, 10 years of these guys that are best of the best. The top dogs are racing every single time you go out. you can't be 80% racing these people. You will get your lunch handed to you and you will get sent out the back and you will have to reevaluate everything you have to do. And so that's the other thing. You can't get by as a pro when you step on line. You got to be the best of the best. And if that's 80%, you better be 80.9 because you need to be every percent more than what you think you are.
I love getting these answers.
I have a question for you.
I love it.
So like, what do you attribute this big boom that we've had lately with, so many, like this indoor season, like, there's the meet at Boston where 75 people were breaking 4 minutes. Like, do you think it's just because there's more training and everyone is more aware of what everyone else is doing? Yeah. Or do you think that it's the spikes or it's the better facilities or like, because even high school kids now are just flying. Like, I'm just curious, like, what do you think is the biggest attribute to all these crazy times?
So can I ask you a question before I answer?
Sure.
Because again, I'm not, is throwing seen a similar explosion in performance advancements?
No.
So is there the same access to high level meets and high level athletes and high level training and coaching in the throws as there is in the distance?
I don't know
if
it's comparable because you get a lot of rabbits and stuff. I don't know if you can rabbit.
That's exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly. So
it's all pacing.
So a guy like Ryan Krauser started to put a lot more out on social media.
Yep.
Like, I mean, in distance, there's Strava, there's Garmin, there's, Running to Win. There's all these avenues for these young athletes to access what we talked about before, training. And they're taking bits and pieces of this athlete. And then now you're getting, exactly what you talked about. You're getting the shoe advancement. Yeah, it's affecting athletes. It's 100% affecting athletes to run faster. But that's the world we live in, like technology is ultimately going to advance everything forward. But I always say you can only run as fast as you like actually can. Like you can't just like put on a shoe and ultimately just all of a sudden gain 10 seconds. You got to still train hard to get there. You still got to be in the right race, in the right wind, in the right time. It's like all these high school kids, like that high school kid was in sound running. You know how many think about it back in like, even like just as early as like Drew Hunter being in Milrose. You know how big of a deal it was for Drew Hunter to be in the Milrose, like Wanamaker. I don't even think he was in the Wanamaker mile. I think he was in the international mile.
Alan Webb was. I mean, I remember he ran 3:59 at them in high school.
Exactly. Alan Webb.
It was insane.
I bet if you went back and looked when Alan Webb, I'm curious, you guys could put this in here as like a post-production. I wonder how many athletes ran as high schoolers in a professional meet the year Alan Webb broke 4 minutes.
Not many.
I'd say it got to be less than 5. Maybe 10.
Maybe Dathan.
I'm talking men, women, everybody. That
maybe
year,
Ritzenheim,
how many high school athletes raced in a professional race?
No, it didn't happen.
When just in January, there was probably 100 high school kids race pros. Just in January. Like, it's so much more accessible. You don't have a choice now if you're going to be the best of the best. If you're going to get a Division I scholarship, I couldn't imagine being who I was now. A 4:16 miler. I might be lucky to get community college one to send me a letter. I might be filling out community college. You know what I'm saying? Like it's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, like we're just saying now, like our local county meet here, the top 4 places like 413, and that's one little county in New Jersey. Like 413, 414, and they were all from the same school.
But those kids who were running 413, I was running 416 off of like 20 miles a week, and I couldn't tell you one workout I did.
Right.
That kid who ran 413 at your county meet can tell you every single calorie they put in their body, every single minute they spent recovering, every single minute they've spent running is recorded. I'm not even like that now. And like I don't even train like that. Like these high school kids are ridiculous in some of the things that they're meticulous about. And they have to be because you gotta be a 413 kid at your county meet. Otherwise,
listen, I'm just shocked because like I say it all the time, there was a meet in Arcadia earlier this year. If you ran 9 flat, you got 76th
It's insane.
place.
It's insane.
76th place was 9 flat.
Like it's
and they're all high school kids. It was like 834. I'm like, what the heck is going? You ran 848. I think was 15th place. Like what?
There's so many factors go into it. There's a way around it. Like shoe advancements for sure, obviously.
Strava probably is huge. You can see what everyone else is doing.
It's everything. It's high school coaches knowing what they're doing. High school coaches are no longer your gym coaches anymore. Yep. Like no offense to gym coaches. I had a gym coach, I I had a gym coach and he was great. But I always said, like, a lot of high school coaches are really good at, getting kids to have fun with the sport, which is what 90% of high school track and field is getting the 100 kids that come out to your team, the 50 kids, the 20 kids that came out to my team to stay.
But that's changed though. Now it's more of a
100%. You got to take your 10% and you got to make them the best of the best. And the rest of them are, hang on for dear life and hope you hang around for the year. Cause I don't really care about you anymore. You're not getting the next high school. You're not getting a high school promotion by letting having the 100 kids who start on day one, finish at the conference meet. You're making a promotion because you're having kids run in Arcadia. You're having kids run against professionals in indoor and New Balance. Like, you're getting kids in the Nike Nationals. Like, it's what it is. It's just the whole sport at that level has evolved. And
it's crazy. And I feel like this is where we need to pounce. And this is where, we just talked about how much there's obviously a swell at the high school level of people running fast, athletes enjoying being fast, and so many more than we've seen in the history of the sport. And I think the combination of the things that you said that you were doing, that we need more athletes doing, because if you can get that 834, kid that ran at Arcadia, and then watch him, and then him watching you do a workout and go, well, that's really what I have to be. You know what I mean? Like, it would just, I think it would expand so much, and it would make people want to be so much more hungry. So, Clayton, this has been so much fun. We didn't even get to talk about your memories. We got to have you back on. We got to have you back on in the future so we can kind of go down memory lane with you, because we started to get into the first segment and then we really got into this stuff, and this stuff was great.
All good.
And I loved every moment of it. And the idea that you were able to throw around.
Fantastic.
And I mean, again, I have a plan in the future of going back and clipping all of these and kind of getting them together and just like figuring out the deepest pocket that I know might like the sport and shoving it and being like, take a smorgasbord of this and make something out of it, please. Because we need guys like you. Should be a millionaire never worrying about anything in your life, like a multimillionaire that never has to give a shit about working again. Like, there's no reason you're not. And the only reason it is because our sport is broken. So, but thank you so much for coming on, Clayton. It was an absolute blast, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. We got to line up for part 2 at some point.
We do. We certainly do. So is there anything that you want to give a shout out to? Anything you want to promote before we get out of here? Any meets that we're going to see you at that anyone that's listening can go and find? Because again, you have to find half of these freaking meets.
Yeah. So we got LA Grand Prix coming up about a week after after this is coming out. So if you are listening to this after LA Grand Prix is happening or it has happened, I'll have some meets in Europe. I'll put out on social media. That's again, meet confirmation, a whole nother topic, working on some meets. I know I'll be in Finland, like June 13th at a Continental Gold meet, and then I'm working on the before after meet, from that. And then obviously USA Champs 1st of July. And then overseas for the most of it prior to Worlds, and back for hopefully the Diamond League final in Eugene. So it's a long summer ahead and some exciting things and a lot of hours, spent on a plane.
Awesome. Dave, you have anything else before we got to jump out of here?
I mean, I just, it's always good to get an athlete come on who's honest and speaks their mind and isn't afraid to kind of tell it how it is. Your honesty was just absolutely wonderful. And I just think that some people can get so much out of what you have to say. So thank you for coming on.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so once again, he was Clayton Murphy. He's an absolute breath of fresh air in terms of professional athletes, coming on here, telling it how it is. And a lot of people need to listen to us, take a lot from it, and let's build this sport, because there's plenty of us that want to do it. We all have to get together and we have to freaking do it. So once again, go look out for him. One of the fastest Americans. And I think, when all is said and done, I think he's going to be standing there as the fastest American in the country once we have USAs this year. So Clayton, thank you so much for coming on, everyone. This is Talking in Ovals. Like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Find us on the socials at Talking in Ovals. We'll be back again next week. So long, everybody.